Hey, what's up turtles? It's Krik here with Black Owl Outdoors. And today I'm going to be doing a comparison video between the Vanquest Mobius Vpacker and the Maxpedition Jumbo Versipack. Now let's go to the ground and get into the details. So to start off with the price, the Vanquest is retailing for right around $80. And that's pretty much the price you're going to pay. Not too many websites are carrying it, if any, besides the Vanquest website, as opposed to the Maxpedition, which is retailing for right under $100, but the cheapest I found it was anywhere from $80 to $90 in the wide array of color options. I think there's like upwards of 15 different color options available in the Maxpedition right here. The Maxpedition is made out of 1050 denier as opposed to the 1000D Cadora on the Vanquest. Really not any difference between the two materials in my experience I've seen, so I'm going to call that sort of equal with bad construction. Starting on the outside, these packs pretty much look the exact same with some minor differences. I'm going to talk about basically the features of each pack, how they differ from each other or they're similar, give my impressions, and then let you decide which pack you would like for you. Because I really love this style of pack. So starting at each one, there's a front flap which covers the main compartment. And you have a little bit larger buckle on the Maxpedition as opposed to the Vanquest. In my opinion, really doesn't make a difference at all. Open these up like that, and you also have a stash pocket on each one on the front here. Great for storing thin items. Both the same, pretty much equal. One thing I would like to say about each of these bags that they both lack, if I had my choice to add something, would be to extend the nylon on this webbing, or excuse me, on this strap. And why I would want that longer is because just be able to stuff bigger items under here, like a blanket, a large sweatshirt, a large layer, something like that. Because it's just, this is basically the Max. I can get something under here, and they're pretty much the same. I mean, neither of them really expand larger than the other. And I would like to see at least another 4 or 5 inches on this, because then I can get a thicker layer under this and use it to carry something just a little bit better. But neither of them have that, so not really going to make a difference for either pack. As I open it up, pretty much again the same pocket in the front. We have a slip pocket, stash pocket in here. Open this up. The Vanquest has 2 zippers, Maxpedition 1. Inside the Vanquest, you have this high contrast ripstop nylon. Maxpedition doesn't have any of that. This is like a sort of signature deal with the Vanquest line, and also in the insides of all their packs they have this orange high-vis ripstop, but nonetheless you have 2 stash pockets on the inside of here on the Vanquest. On the Maxpedition, there's only 1, and it's sort of a net. They both have a keeper. Into the main compartment, they both have this storm flap. Only difference, Maxpedition is a little bit bigger. I'd say probably at least maybe a couple inches bigger. So what that will allow you to do is maybe put a little bit more material inside of this to actually pack outside of the main body of the main compartment. You can push it up a little bit. Sort of negligible, but nonetheless, it is a difference. And the dimensions of the main compartments for each of these are pretty much the exact same. I think you have like, on one of these, it's a 1/2 inch smaller in one of the dimensions, and then it's made up for, it's a 1/2 inch larger on this, so they're basically the exact same dimensions. And inside this that I was carrying, just to give you some sort of comparison, I've done a video on each of these specifically as they're packed, as I'd carry them, but for the sake of this video, I'll show you. Here's my small top of canister stove, a smaller fuel can for it, and a cook pot. The MSR Seagull cook pot, which I've done a video on this. Just to give you a comparison of what's fitting in here. There is a little bit of room next to this as it goes into the main compartment, but this takes up a lot of room inside the main compartment. And on the inside of the main compartment, if you'll be able to see, there's two stash pockets. Again, you have this high-vis orange. 2 on each opposing side. And then on the Maxpedition, you have 2. One is sort of that mesh material that you've seen in the front pocket, and then it's another the same material as this. So they both have the same organizational capabilities on the inside of the main compartment. Moving to the water bottle holder, as I'm going to call it, sitting right here. Let me grab my bottle and show you a comparison. This is a 40-ounce clean canteen going into the Vanquest. Sits up with the cap, pretty much there, and has a drawstring with some elastic cord or bungee cord with a cord lock. And then you also have these little bit of cinching straps, compression straps, to help keep this a little bit more secure, depending on the size of the bottle you want to put in here. Moving over to the Maxpedition. Again, cord lock, closure at the top to help keep this in. And also on the Maxpedition, what you have is this feature. You have this hook and loop system that comes off the top pocket, and then you can actually put this over whatever you have in here to help secure it even more. Not present on the Vanquest. It's here on the Maxpedition. The top of the bag. They each have a pocket on the top, and it's just a little bit larger on the Vanquest as opposed to the Maxpedition. What do I have that'll fit in here? Well, I just have a small little tinder pouch, small little bag I made. Fits in there fine, nice. Like I said, just a little bit bigger on the Vanquest than the Maxpedition. Each have a single zipper for that pocket. Underside of the bag, you see a little bit of webbing right here to keep this in place, if you will, and or somehow as another attachment point on the Maxpedition. On the Vanquest, none of that is present. On the other side of the bag, they each have a pocket. You can see from comparison that the Vanquest is just a little bit larger, and it is noticeable. Again, they each have 2 zippers. And for a sort of size comparison, I have the Maxpedition Micro Pocket Organizer just in here for now. It gets swallowed up in the Vanquest. You still have at least an inch, inch and a half of space above this. In the Maxpedition, it pretty much is the exact size of the pocket. And on the inside, Vanquest, there's 2 stash or slip pockets with the high-vis ripstop again. On the Maxpedition, there's only one. Only on one on this side, not on the actual flap of the pocket. And then you each of them have the same number of webbing on that pocket. Now, one thing the Maxpedition has on this side of the bag that the Vanquest does not is a stash or slip pocket behind this pocket, which I really like. I really prefer and utilize this space that much more, as opposed to obviously not being there. I can't use it, but it's a feature that I definitely like. Baco in a sheath I made fits right in there, fits perfectly, able to carry it very, very nice and secure. So the buckles on each of these for the shoulder strap, pretty much the exact same size. I think they're 2 inches. So on the Vanquest, you need to activate this first with one hand, open up with the second. That's up to you if it's a feature you like or not. So you have a little bit of webbing. Basically, they look the same on each one that my thumbs are pressing and tapping against. This webbing right here, basically the same looking, same size. And on this side of sort of the backing of the bag, if you will, there's actually a stash slip pocket right here on the Vanquest that is not present on the Maxpedition. This is small. My fingers are barely fitting in there, not much to not much size, if you will. Here's a 4-inch knife. See how much that sticks out? This is the LT Wright knife, by the way, the Genesis model. You could put something small in there. I wouldn't recommend it just because it's really small. There's not too much depth and something could potentially pop out as it's riding, but nonetheless, it's present on the Vanquest, not on the Maxpedition. And then they each have some webbing again, where my thumbs are pressing against. Get an idea of there, some more webbing on here. Carabiner on this one. And then they each have a little attachment point here. This is just like sort of a closed D-ring. Their style Vanquest is using a lot. And then on the Maxpedition, it features this little spring clip. So the padding on the shoulder straps, a little bit wider on the Vanquest. Both adequate padding. This just feels like a little bit denser on the Maxpedition. But they both have this sort of rubberized grip material here to help keep the pad in place as it's riding on across your shoulder, on your collarbone, all of that. Like I said, just basically the same type of pack, just small differences. It's very small differences. They both have a concealed carry pocket right here. Zipper track's opening right now. Basically the same size, a little bit of hook and loop in there. This is a much bigger zipper right here on this one. The zipper track is exposed. On all of the zippers on the Maxpedition, as I go to the Vanquest, you have the reverse zippers, meaning the track is covered. Which gives a little bit more protection from dirt, water, all of that in the zipper track, which I personally like a lot, having these covered zipper tracks. But that's, as you can see, as I rotate and move on this bag, all the zipper tracks are covered on the Vanquest. None of them are covered on the Maxpedition. Moving to the back of the packs. So on the back of the packs, you actually have padding on the Maxpedition here, 3 points, a different contact. And this is sort of the deal breaker for me, or the deal maker, on the type of pack and which one of these I'm going to choose. You have the padding here on the Maxpedition, absolutely none present on the Vanquest. And you can just see probably just from the frame and the way these bags are sitting that there's way more structure to the Maxpedition as opposed to the Vanquest. You can see how this material is sort of dipping, got this kick out. Now that really isn't going to affect, the usability and or the, its function at all. But what that does, it just makes this a little bit more rigid. It gives a little bit of padding. If you do have a sidearm in this concealed carry, it'll give you some padding from that weapon. You're not really going to have it at all from here. And as it feels on the body, I really can't, show that as a quote feeling as it touches my body. But this is way more comfortable and feels a little bit more secure and just a little bit, sits neater on my body, the Maxpedition, because of this padding, because it makes this a little bit more rigid as opposed to the Vanquest. Grab handle, you have this neoprene on the Vanquest here. It's just a little bit more comfortable to hold, obviously, than just this thin little bit of probably 3/4 webbing on the Maxpedition. Not really an issue at all. They both work, obviously, but this is just a little bit more, or this is a lot more comfortable to grab and hold as opposed to just this thin webbing. So that is basically the ins and outs, the similarities, the differences of these two packs. Very similar. Why I like these packs to begin with, because it's sort of like a take on the traditional haversack, just a little bit more tactical, organizational capabilities. Now you don't have the complete storage capacity of a larger haversack, it's the quote, just the amount of gear you can put into it, but it's still that wearing it on the side. Oh yeah, one more thing I forgot to touch about this. They both have a hip belt. They both have a hip belt. And this is why I really like these packs as opposed to using a traditional haversack style, because I can put this on my body, I can sling it behind me, and I can really carry the weight. It's just nicer to use. If it's hot out, it's not sitting on my whole entire back. It's more just like on the small of my back, on a hip. So there's a lot more air hitting my body on the hot days. But either way, 1-inch nylon, removable if you so desire. Basically the exact same. Removable shoulder, like hip, hip strap, waist belt. So you've seen it all. My impressions, having used both of these now, like I said, some of the differences are really small, most of them, but the deal breaker for me is why I'm choosing the Maxpedition is just because of that little bit of padding, or not that little bit, but the padding that's present on the Maxpedition that's not here just gives the pack a little bit more structure and just feels and sits just a little bit nicer. Enough for me that if I'm deciding I'm gonna buy the Maxpedition, yeah, it's about the same price and or $10 more, but you have the different color options, a whole variety of color options available in this. Granted, the Vanquest, you know, I think there's 4, 5, maybe different color options, but nonetheless, this is what I'm going to choose. The zipper tracks, I really like the covered zipper tracks on the Vanquest, but just for comfort, if you see my other bag reviews, backpacks, I'm very, very picky and specific on the way a pack feels. I don't care about its function or its features if it's not comfortable. Now granted, if it's comfortable, then all the other things are considered, how I'm going to use it, the different organization, but comfort is huge for me in the deciding factor of a pack. So that's why I'm going to choose the Maxpedition. Now when I did the video on the Vanquest, I had a decent amount of people comment saying it was a Maxpedition ripoff, they copied it, they did this and that. Yeah, you're right. This design was out here first from Maxpedition, and Vanquest made that. Now, in the realm of a consumer market, the way things work, that's just the reality in a consumer market. Someone's going to make something that works. They're going to have a patent on it probably, and someone's going to make it their own, try to make something very similar because it is popular. It's a great design, and that's just the reality of a consumer market. The first person made the automobile. The only cars in the world now aren't just Ford. You know, sort of along those lines that we're just witnessing it for the first time. This was a brand new design, if you will, from Maxpedition. Another company made it, and there's a host of other, maybe not a host, a handful of other companies that are making these at a much lesser quality, $20, $30. People have asked me, you know, to go check these out. These bags aren't worth it. You can buy it for $30. I don't agree with that. The double stitching, the weight, the thickness of the Cadora and or just the denier nylon, those $20, $30 packs, they're not there. With that being said, you can decide if you want to buy the Vanquest. Like, you know, it's just for the market. That's just how the consumer world is going. Whether you like it or not, that's up to you. But I just wanted to touch on it because it was brought up when I did the review on this video. If you have any questions about either of these packs or anything I mentioned, please leave a comment below. I'll definitely get back to you. I want to thank you for watching this video and thank you for your continued support of our channel. It takes a lot of time for Stony and I to actually do these videos. We're putting in a lot of time doing it. Remember to check out blackoutdoors.com. This is Krik signing out with Black Outdoors. Later, turtles.